Leonard Fournette is currently having a Pro Bowl season, and Nick Foles has returned back to practice. Yes, I know, I just reiterated the title. I just don't have any funny or catchy things to say. So why don't you for once just stop judging me? Let's get it. Many Jaguar fans are saying that Leonard Fournette is back to his 2017 form. But to be quite frank with you, Leonard Fournette is better than his 2017 form. In 2017, Leonard Fournette had 1,040 rushing yards on the year, but through only 7 games, Leonard Fournette has had 144 carries and 715 yards on those carries, which is a whopping 5 yards per carry. And he's also tacked on 203 yards receiving. The only real category that he's really lagging in is his touchdown, the amount of touchdowns he's had. He's only had 1 touchdown on the season. And this is vastly improved from 2018, as in 2018, he only had 439 yards rushing on the year. And he only actually played 5 full games on the season. So, and when I look at Leonard Fournette, I will not hide behind it. I was somebody that really doubted Fournette. And I'm not one that doubted Fournette because of his ability. I was one that doubted Fournette based on how serious he was about the game of football, how much he really loved the game of football, and how truly committed he was to his craft and how great of a player that he really wanted to be. So, and I actually made a video right after the season last year. I rewatched it not too long ago, and I'll put the link to that video right up there, and you guys can watch it after. I was basically saying, what do we do with Leonard Fournette? Do we trade him? What do we do? What do we do about this guy? And you know, like I said, I was never one that doubted Leonard Fournette as a player. I was one that doubted him as a person. But what he did this offseason was he completely transformed himself. You know, last year I was hearing, you know, obviously he got hurt the first game with a hamstring injury. And then I was hearing reports that he was like missing rehab assignments. He was, texting during meetings. He didn't actually know the full playbook. He had also served he had suspension issues, whether it be from the team internally where he, missing team pitchers. I know that was dating back to 2017. But also last year he got in a fight at Buffalo. And, you know, you really just wonder, like, how into the game of football is he? And how, like, good of a teammate is he? But, you know, what he did this offseason was, I mean, he really woke himself up. And, you know, even Tom Coughlin woke him up. Tom Coughlin and Dave Caldwell literally took away all of his guaranteed money. All of his guarantees. And I don't know the exact number, but that probably equates to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what did he do? He didn't go and blast him on social media. He didn't go and demand to get traded. He said, I got to wake up. I've got to rejuvenate my career. I've got to be a better person, a better teammate, and I've got to be better when it comes to my NFL career. So he took the offseason. He went all the way out to Wyoming. He trained out there. It looks like he learned the playbook a lot better. He's become a really good teammate. And, like, you know, last year he was voted on to be a captain. But, I mean, this year seems like the year that he should be a captain. I mean, it's tremendous what he's doing. And his ability on the field has even become better. Now, he does have some things he has to work on. Like, he's a lot better in between the guards and tackles. You know, I noticed, you know, particularly one play each from the last 2 games where, you know, when he runs outside the tackles on more of a spread play, he's not able to see the field as well. You know, he's more of a downhill type of runner as opposed to a zone runner. But he is getting better at that. And, you know, I'm excited to kind of see what he has going forward. So, you know, with Fournette, he's having a tremendous year. And I give him a lot of props because I was somebody that knew he had it in him when it comes to him as a player. But you know, how is he going to approach a season? And that's impossible for me to know because I don't know him as a person. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to Fournette, and I'm very excited to see what he's done. And, you know, our offense and he's been putting on a lot more just really after the first 3 games. Like, these last 4 games has been some of his best games, including, you know, a career high against Denver where he put up over 200 yards rushing. So big shout out to Leonard Fournette. Now, next thing is that Nick Foles is returning to practice on a limited basis. and he is eligible to return back to the Jaguars in Week 11, and that makes that the actual after the bye week, and that's the game against the Colts. So Gardner Minshew will be starting the next 2 games, and then the Jaguars will have a real decision to make at quarterback. Now, it's a question on what you would do. Me personally, and hear me out through this, like, I think Gardner Minshew could very well be the Jaguars franchise quarterback. But this year, I might actually go ahead and play Nick Foles for a couple reasons. One, I think he could be marginally better than Gardner Minshew just because he has a lot of experience. You know, he's in really the part of the season that Nick Foles does best, and that's like the last half of the year. And he knows the offense better and just all that. So all that is good. But a second reason why is because if the Jaguars are going to look to trade Nick Foles after this season ends, I don't think that he's going to be able to be traded if he sits out a whole entire year. I think that if he sits out the whole entire 2019 season like this, and Gardner Minshew gets the rest of the starts, I don't know if he's going to have any. If we're going to be able to leverage a trade with him, you know, I think that he would have to have some games under his belt and be able to put up a winning record and then lead us into the playoffs. I think that is really the main way that Nick Foles is going to be having any trade value for us. And when you look at him on the books, the only way he's not on the team in 2020 is if he gets traded. Because when you look at his figures right now, there's a $33 million dead cap hit in 2020. If he's not on the roster, so the Jaguars would have to eat $33 million if they were to cut him. That's not happening. And even in 2021, there's a $12.5 million cap hit. So that's a little more reasonable. Because, just this year, Jaguars are currently paying Bortles $15.5 million of dead cap. So really, if the situation were to come where you'd want to trade Nick Foles, where you do think Gardner Minshew is the better quarterback, you can be a Gardner Minshew truther, and you could think that Gardner Minshew is the franchise quarterback of this team and still want Nick Foles to start. And really, when I look at potential teams that would maybe want to trade for him, I look at the Bears. Do the Bears want to waste their defense away with Mitchell Trubisky? It's very similar to the Jaguars in 2018 where they have a very good defense, but the quarterback play is holding them back, and the lack of production in the offense is holding them back. And you could tell last week with the Bears game, the defense imploded because the offense really couldn't do anything for them. The Saints just whooped them. You know what I'm saying? And so what do they want to do? Do they really want to ride with Trubisky, or they want to keep this while the defense is hot, while the defense is good? Do they want to bring in another quarterback to really compete? And a couple other teams, potentially the Buccaneers and the Titans. And the reasons I mention them are, they're not like the Bengals where they're 0-7 or 0-6 or whatever they are. They're not the Dolphins where they're 0-6, 0-7. They're not the Redskins where they're like 1-5. These two teams, I believe right now, are 3-4. And their record is going to be too good to get one of these top quarterback prospects. So they could be a team that, is drafting in like the 10 to 16 range where, they're too far back to get a quarterback, but they still think they to compete. So those are really the only 3 true trade candidates that I can see. But I think we are getting a little ahead of ourselves. But, I am on the... I would rather start Nick Foles probably after Gardner Minshew comes back. Unless Gardner Minshew completely lights it on fire, I do think that Foles comes back. And I think that's the way that the coaches are going to do it. But you never know. I wouldn't argue with any decision that the Jaguars do make. I just think that Nick Foles in the playoffs, if we were to go to the playoffs, I would honestly rather Nick Foles be quarterbacking for us this year. And Gardner Minshew, he still has got some things he needs to work on, but I've really liked what I've seen of him, and it really seems like he's a great learner, and he could be really good for the Jaguars because the fact of the matter is the guy is dead accurate in his throws, just a very accurate thrower, and you can't teach accuracy. And he's just a natural in the pocket. So it's really exciting. I mean, when you look at the Jaguars in this situation last year, we were trying to decide who to start, who sucked less, Bortles or Cody Kessler. This year we have Nick Foles and Gardner Minshew. And it's an incredible situation that the Jaguars are currently in. So that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please drop a like. Leave a comment down below. Who would you guys rather start once Nick Foles comes back? Nick Foles or Gardner Minshew? Let me know. Thanks, guys. Go Jags.